No, you're good.
Because together we are stronger. Individually we are stronger. I remember every single phone count.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to On Point with Rachel Turgerman. I'm so glad you can join us tonight. My friends, in dealing with difficult people, it can be a total nightmare. Usually, when dealing with a difficult person, we can drive ourselves crazy from one second to the next. Joining us tonight is Dr. Margarita Gurri, known as Dr. Red Shoe. How are you? Good to see you.
I'm great. Nice to see you. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, I love to have you on. I want all our viewers to know that you are a global, international, certified speaking professional. Dr. Red Shoe is also a clinical psychologist. She's also an author of many, many, many books. And she is unbelievably wanted by so many people. She's worked with that sounds kind of funny, but you've worked with governments, you've worked with healthcare institutions, you've worked with businesses, you've worked with military organizations. So everybody's seeking to talk to you to see how they can deal with conflict in the workplace or even conflict in their personal lives. So I want to thank you all the way from Michigan. I want to thank you for being on Point with Rachel Turgerman. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. It was a long trip from my bedroom to the office.
I know. Isn't it wonderful that we can talk? You're in Michigan, I'm here in Miami, and the thousands and thousands of viewers are going to be seeing us. They're all over the world. It's just unbelievable. Tonight,
it's a changing world for sure.
Yes. Tonight, Dr. Gurri, Dr. Red Shoe, I want to be able to talk about a conversation of something that's very, very important, which is dealing with difficult people. So if that's okay with you, I really want to dig into your brain, because I know a lot of our viewers, most of our viewers, including myself, have met many, many difficult people. And yes, it's mind-boggling. But before we get to that, to the nuts and bolts of what are difficult people and what are the different characteristics, let's get your story out to the public. Talk to us. Where were you born?
I was born in La Habana, Cuba, and we came over to the freedom of the United States in 1960. And that's where, as we talked before, that's where the Red Shoe story comes. At that point, we were allowed to leave with $5 per person in the family in a suitcase for the whole family. And my mother, who was very lively, opinionated, amazing woman, said, I know, I'm going to leave my way. And so she left with red shoes. Now, years later, we were laughing. And she said, Ni jamás. I did not have red shoes. They were cordovan brown, but I was 4 years old. And I remember them as cherry red. So I'm sticking to my story. So then when my mother was sick and dying many years later as a happy old lady, I started wearing the red shoes to honor her and my father and my older brother and sister and how amazing their spirit was. And they started calling me Dr. Red Shoe, and the name stuck. So there it is. And now I only wear red shoes.
I love it. How many shoes do you have? Tell our viewers.
Well, rumor has it 37.
37 shoes that are red. I love it. Well, that's like me.
Kayak shoes, hiking shoes.
All
my shoes are red now. I only have one pair of shoes that it's a beautiful bone color for my daughter's wedding. That's it.
I love it. That's like me. All my life, I've always painted my nails red because my mom always had red lipstick as well and always painted.
They're beautiful.
Thank you. And I do feel, Dr. Red Shoe, that red is a very powerful color, a power of courage, a color of bravery. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I like the color. I mean, I think it stands out. It's part of America, the red, white, and blue, part of Cuba and Puerto Rico, red, white, and blue.
So it's
I think it's a power color that's been used through the ages.
I love it. So psychology, Dr. Red Shoe, you could have studied, architectural work, lawyer, you could have been a chef, you could have been anything you wanted to. Why psychology? What stirred you up? Tell us your stories. Tell us.
All right. So first I have to say, I have to laugh. I have an identical twin sister, Elena Gurri, and she married Larry Levis. They're amazing people.
That's
and
beautiful.
They're some of my best advisors. They're both architects. So you said architect. They could
see that? You could be an architect like your sister.
Here's how I became a psychologist. I was 10 or 11. I was riding my bike in Coral Gables, where I grew up, and it started to rain. And I love libraries, so I steered my way to the library.
I can't tell because of your background that you don't like libraries. You love libraries.
I love libraries, just love them like crazy. So I thought, well, I'm going to take refuge, sanctuary. So I went to the library, and I'm going up and down the aisles looking for a book that caught my attention. And as I'm walking down the aisle, a book hits me on the head. And I look up and I look down, and there it is, Freud's interpretation of dreams.
Oh
and
my God.
Freud hit me in the head. So I took it home, I read it, and as I was reading in the living room, my dad came up to me and said, Mijita, I'm so glad to see you reading one of my books. And I said, no, Papi, this is my book. I got it from the library. He said, oh, well, do you know what it is I do for a living? I said, yeah, you're a doctor. He said, no, I'm a Freudian psychoanalyst. He was a training analyst.
Nice.
And he thought I was reading one of his books. And he said, I open all my books to you. And so then I started reading more and more, and I got curious about human nature. And that's where the story hit, by getting wet and getting hit on the head, literally, by a book.
Amazing.
Symbols, yeah.
So let me ask you, so are you a Freudian?
I don't know if anyone's would call me a Freudian, but I do believe in the psychoanalytic point of view. I am not an analyst, but I have great respect for them. They're some of the best listeners and some of the kindest people I've ever met, and they understand human nature, and they're good listeners. And many therapists with different points of view can be amazing. So I believe that many schools of thought can be very helpful. But yeah, I really like the psychoanalytic point of view.
Me too. The id, the ego. That's really interesting. I studied psychology as well, and I really enjoyed the dynamics of the human mind.
Yeah. And the symbolism. I know you're into symbols. So the symbolism of it, and taking responsibility, and how we can go back and change our present and future by looking at the past differently. It's just powerful stuff. It takes a lot of courage, though.
That's what I love about it. So talking about Freud and talking about difficult people, why is it so difficult to deal with difficult people? Talk to us.
Well, you know what? They're everywhere. So look to your left, look to your right. If there isn't anyone difficult there, it's your turn. We all take turns.
It's true.
I believe right now everyone's COVID cranky. There's so much happening in our world and in our nation. Our usual routines have been torn away from us. And so normally our self-discipline is anchored in some sort of routine or go-tos. And those have been disruptive. And as we go back to work or not, there's a start, stop. I think people get crankier and crankier. And why are they cranky? Lots of good reasons. So before we get to the why, because everyone misbehaves, the key to understanding difficult people is that philosophy. The difficult people are everywhere. Sometimes it's you, sometimes it's them, and sometimes it's me. And so looking around, and it's about accountability.
So when you make such a broad statement, Dr. Red Shoe, because you're saying sometimes it's you, sometimes it's our viewers, sometimes it's me.
Yeah.
What would you say? What deals with that? What is it? Is it because you're dealing with anxiety one day, you're dealing with depression, you have a problem? That makes us difficult.
All of that. But also it's a point of view. Maybe I'm not being difficult, but you think I'm difficult because I'm not giving you what you want. So it's always in the eye of the beholder, or the eye of the person who feels injured. And I think being difficult comes with having personalities and opinions. And unfortunately, there's a lost art of being able to have discussions that are about differences without putting negative things into the air, whether it's a tone, a yucky word, a tweet, or a Facebook thing. And I love social media. So let's turn that to the positive, and let's be less negative. I do believe that words have power. And regardless of why someone is difficult, the first step is to have empathy. And true empathy is not just lip service. It's trying to put yourself in their shoes and like, what is it they're feeling? What do they want? Why do they think I'm being difficult? Why are they being difficult in this moment? Mm-hmm. And if we ask ourselves with a sincere sense of curiosity, the world opens up to us.
So maybe they're acting kind of strange or kind of difficult because they're going through something maybe at home with their family, their
Or
kids.
maybe we just have different customs.
There are different customs. Well,
Maybe,
hold that thought, Dr. Rechu. I want to go through the different disruptive behaviors that people misbehave. But when we finish that, and usually that's like in a work setting, in a meeting. But when we finish that, I want to go back to difficult people because I do find in my experiences, and I'm sure that many of the viewers that are watching us, that there's some difficult people that you have to ignore them because they're going to make you sick. And I don't talk about it now. Let's talk about it later. Let's talk about, in the shell, if you're at work, in a meeting, and let's talk about those disruptive behaviors and then get back to difficult people in general. Okay, so let's talk about those different characteristics, different communication styles. Talk to us.
All right, so I came up with a system after years of doing therapy in an office and working as a consultant to organizations. I realized that a lot of why people call me is because of misbehavior, and difficult people is part of that. In truth, it's not the people that are difficult necessarily, it's their communication style. And that's more fixable than personality. Some people are difficult, they're blessed. I mean, they're way out there in being difficult. But we're going to talk about how everyone can change communication styles.
Perfect.
So let's look at, so I created some characters, some cartoon characters. My cartoonist put them to life. And he is here, Carlos Jimenez. This is my book, Color Me Difficult.
I love it. I love it. I read it, and I would like everybody to go. Where can they buy your book? I mean, it's amazing. It's so cute.
They can go to my website. They can just go to Amazon as well. And so here I created the characters to help people look at this with more of a sense of humor, with more empathy, and less blame and shame. So there's two characters that are aggressive. This is the diva, and we all know the diva. And she has a motto. Her motto is, ta-da, I'm here. And her downfall in terms of communication is she seeks attention rather than, she gets distracted by that.
I see that she has red shoes. Why does she have those red shoes?
You know what? She hasn't earned them yet, but she will. She will earn them. We decided to give her red shoes because a diva would wear red shoes, right? That's true. And like Dolly Parton says, you know, do it with red shoes. So I love Dolly Parton. And so the superpower is to put them to work, put their influence and charm to work. So
okay, so she's basically full of herself. Would you say, like she wants to be the center of attraction? She walks into a meeting, she wants everybody to notice her.
She might disrupt everyone, but the superpower is that she can be very charming, and if you work with her, she can make a huge difference and be very fun and entertaining.
So you have to channel her energy, Dr. Rechu?
Yes, you channel the energy. If you give her what she needs, some attention, like let's say the disruptive meeting, you might ask her to be the one to write the notes, to type them up, and then she gets lots of attention. But then a diva could be a man. None of these are gender, this is, of course, I put some genders to them just for fun, but it could be any gender.
I'm sure that our viewers right now at their homes or their offices are saying, hey, I know a lot of those peacock divas.
And we all have a little diva in us sometimes, right? And we all have also the pirate warthog bully. Dun, da, da, dun. And his motto is, I win, you lose. And it's all about power for him. He dominates situations without listening. So then we have to use that superpower. He's got a lot of influence too. Again, the solution is put them to work. If you can get the bully to lead and you can help them learn how to lead effectively, the world is yours. They can really help move along a project. They can be great project managers if they learn how to communicate differently. What were you going to ask? I interrupted you.
No, I was thinking about the bully because I'm always thinking about the different jobs I've had, and I haven't had many because I've had long-term jobs. I worked for the county for 30 years.
Well, then you know about bullies.
Yeah, definitely. But I want our viewers to relate to this because I'm sure that they know a lot about bullies too, because I'm sure they've met a lot of bullies at work as well. What about if you get a bully at work that's your boss? I'm like feeling all my viewers watch. Hey, I had a boss that's been a bully. They yell at you, they insult you. They treat you like if you're stupid or something. So how do you deal with a bully like that? You don't even want to go to work.
Right.
And the worst part is that you know that you're smarter than the bully boss. Isn't that crazy? Can you relate?
That may be part of the problem. So let's talk about the bully.
Yeah, please.
I believe that most bullies, if they knew a better way to get what they want and to get respect rather than forcing it, I believe if they knew a better way, they would do it. Not all bullies are that way. Some are devoted bullies and they're very good at it. So one thing to think about is, how am I going to set my limits? Everyone has a choice. What are you going to put up with? Now, if a bully is a bully and then you push back, you're being a bully too. So the secret with all these different avatars, don't give up your power. Be gracious, be clear, set limits, and not in a whiny, demanding, or grumpy way. So if they're yelling, you cannot say, you can say, please lower your voice. I listen better with a different tone. Also letting them know you're being hurt, that you're hearing them. So, sir, you're asking me this, or ma'am, you're asking me this. Show them respect. They sometimes need that title, right? Sometimes not. I mean, there's no one answer for every kind of bully.
Right.
And there's some people don't know they're bullies. Some people are emo bullies. They bully you emotionally with guilt and shame. It's all sorts of shades of bully, but the bottom line is they dominate.
You said something, Dr. Rechu, that triggered a thought in my mind, because I know a lot of our viewers who have had amazing jobs, and no matter what job you have had, you've always come across a bully boss, a bully colleague, a bully that's your same level, a bully that's above your level. And I'm sure our viewers are probably smiling right now as they're talking to their friends, watching us right now. Conflict. A lot of people that are being bullied by their bosses or by their colleagues, they're afraid to tackle conflict. Right. What message do you have to all those individuals that are brilliant, have a great job, and they're being bullied, but they're afraid to confront that bully? Talk to us.
Well, I don't think we have to confront bullies. I think that's
not in a negative way, but to say, hey, I'm tired of this.
The best defense against a bully is to be the best at what you do. A bully, if they really value you, and it's not always true, these are generalizations, if they really value you, they're less likely to belittle you because they don't want to lose you. So the best defense is to be always civil, always rising above, being helpful, being on point. Ah, that's a good name for a show, don't you think?
Hey, I like that.
I like that. So being on point. And I think that if you're the best, if you're not the best, study half an hour a day till you become the best. So one of the defenses is to make a bully look good. So bullies are afraid of not looking good and not being enough. I mean, basically, what do we all want? We want to be loved, and we want to know that we are lovable. Yeah, pobrecito. I mean, he doesn't feel loved, right?
Yes.
So I think, or he's afraid that no one could love him. Of course, everyone's lovable, somehow, somewhere.
I guess another message that I would like to give all viewers tonight is that if you're being bullied at work, my friends, and I think Dr. Rechu will agree with me, make sure that you set your boundaries. Like you said, Dr. Rechu, tell them that you don't want them to disrespect you. Set your boundaries, because I find that when you don't stop a bully, Dr. Rechu, they will treat you like a doormat and take you around the block.
You cannot accept that. Ender's Game talked about that. There's books all over. I also think one of the best defense with a bully is to not be alone. It's better to get yelled at in public than private. Document what's happened. Talk to the people above you. It's always best to talk to the person straightforward if you can. But if you're too scared to, don't have a colleague do it, because then it's 2 against 1.
I like that.
Fight. And so there is a chain of command if you're part of an organization. Now, if you're in a very small part of an organization, then sometimes you're stuck. And the only way is to avoid them. And sometimes you can't. I mean, being bullied at work is, that hostile workplace is impossible. It's painful. It's awful. We've all had it. it changes your world. You don't want to get up. You don't want to go. But if you also put in perspective that they're wrong, you're not going to accept that. I know someone that whenever the boss starts yelling, she just puts the head down and starts typing.
Really?
And working on something. He says, I'm talking to you. She said, no, you're yelling at me. When you're ready to talk, I'll be glad to listen.
Good. Hold that thought. I
Yeah.
love it. Hold that thought. Let's
Yeah.
talk to our advertisers. Let's thank them. All our VIP advertisers. I want to thank each and every one of you, my friends, because if it wasn't because of you, we would not have On Point Rachel Turgerman. Let's begin with Jackson Health Foundation. A big shout out to Charmaine, of course, Flavia as well, the co-president of Jackson Health Foundation. And also we have Anna Vega Milton, who's coming up with Jose Milton Foundation. And we had Carlos Migoya last week. They're doing an amazing job with the vaccinations. Jackson Health Foundation, Jackson Health System, truly a stellar healthcare system. Jose Milton Foundation, of course, Anna Vega Milton at the helm as the president and CEO. Anna, thank you for all your altruistic work, whether it's the Red Cross, University of Miami, FIU, Missing Children, Domestic Violence, Human Trafficking, 5,000 Role Models. We love you, Anna. And just thank you. Thank you for being so special. Of course, we have Nicole Alvarez, our attorney in immigration, criminal defense, domestic violence. Give her a call if you need her assistance. She's outstanding. Survivors Pathway, Francesco Durberli, Dr. Francesco Durberli, dealing with human trafficking, missing children, domestic violence. Keep up the fantastic work. Magic Waste Youth Foundation, Rudy Bustamante, Armando Trabanco, and the whole team, making sure that foster kids, when they're ready to leave foster care, that they have the necessary resources to excel in life. Soar like eagles. Jewish University System, my dear friend and brother from another mother, Dr. Jorge Alfonso, and sister from another mother, Lucy Alfonso, his beautiful wife. They have this amazing online Jewish University system, making people earn their doctoral degrees, whether it's in education or psychology, with religious modifiers. Jewish University System. Next, we have, of course, Quantum CPAs and Advisors, Marie Toursan, providing customized and strategic accounting and advisory solutions to entrepreneurs and small business owners. If you want to take your business to another level of success, Quantum CPAs and Advisors is the answer. Catholic Hospice, a big shout out to Jessica Joseph and also Diane Backoff, helping people that are at the end of life, facing near the end of life, nurturing them, giving them love, helping them in every single way, giving them their dignity. We love you, Catholic Hospice. Meet Alicia Belliard, your corporate and personal psychologist and psychotherapist, to solve your business and personal hurdles. Brenda, your car sales girl, your car broker. If you want to buy your dream car, or if you want to buy a used car, call Brenda, your car sales girl. She's outstanding. She will get you an amazing deal. She will deliver it to your job. She will deliver it to your house, and you're going to love the price. Lighthouse of the World Clinic, Miseli Vasquez, Elaine, we love you. Thanks to you, most of our people that are economically disadvantaged in Broward County, they can get healthcare for free if they're economically disadvantaged. Thank you, Miseli Vasquez, Elaine, for helping so many people in Broward. United Home Care, Carlos Martinez, Blanca Ceballos, Alina Palenzuela, thank you for loving our older adults, keeping them home with amazing healthcare services, because being home is the best place to be. Dr. Redshoe, we talked about bullying. Talk to us a little bit about your example of camel groundhog. Talk to us about that type of disruptive behavior.
Let me say one more thing about the bully.
Okay, I got you.
No one has the right to hurt you, whether it's physical, emotional, sexual, financial, or spiritual. No one has the right to harm you. And we have to stop the idea that that's okay. It is not okay. And all these mean words and gossip is harm. And the next time you hear anything like that and you witness it on Facebook or in a conversation, don't engage, change the subject. I always say, speaking of the Pope, and then we change the subject. It's a whole family joke.
I love it.
So don't allow it. All right. So now, boy, you have some great sponsors. Thank you, sponsors.
They're amazing. They advertise, and they're all VIPs. They're all VIPs giving back to the community. And they all have great services. Thank you, Dr. Redshoe.
They do, and everyone should use them to thank them for the program. All right. The next is passive communication. So we had the two aggressive, we had the diva and the bully. And then we have the passive, the groundhog. There's only one kind. And the groundhog says, basically, please let me go unnoticed. The groundhog is the one that's the most varied. They're on the down low. They're hiding out. They don't contribute unless they're asked to. They don't initiate. But many times, depending on why they're on the down low, maybe they have a sick family member, maybe they're sick, maybe they're in the drop and about to retire. We don't know why. Maybe they have a tummy ache, but a 10-year tummy ache. So whatever it is, they're the ones, they're difficult communicators because they don't contribute. They don't pull their weight. Now, you ask them to, they will.
I can relate to that. I can relate to that, Dr. Red Shoe, because I used to teach also conflict reconciliation, anger management, domestic violence, all of that in the Miami-Dade Police Department. Great, great, great law enforcement officials. But once in a while, you would see somebody that would sit in the back, would not initiate any kind of participation, would never raise your hand. And you know what I would do as a teacher, as a professor? I would do a round robin. You want to explain that?
Yes.
What is that? Talk to them. What is that?
Well, a round robin is one of the solutions. So you say you, and then you, and then next you, and then you. If you let them know who's on deck. One of my friends, Robbie Samuels, who does No More Bad Zoom, he calls that on deck. I call it the air and the spare. You let people know who's going to be called. Now, some people never want to speak in public, and you can pair them up, and their voice can be heard before a meeting,
That's
after
good.
a meeting, or with a pair who can voice their word for them. So some people are just really uncomfortable speaking, and they have lots of ideas. They may not be groundhogs. They may actually just be shy or hiding from limelight. That's a different story.
Okay. I just
So
want them to
camel
feel
might-
like all inclusive, like part of
Yeah.
us.
And the camel's the most varied of my avatars. Then there is my favorite avatar. These are the passive aggressive one. This is the eye rolling canary. I don't know if you can tell, is rolling its eye.
Yes. Look at him with
Okay.
his eyeballs. I've seen those at meetings too, Dr. Red Shoe.
What'd you say?
I've seen the eye rolling canaries at meetings throughout my 36 years of community relations directorship.
And they're my favorite because as a consultant, when the leader is speaking and you see someone rolling their eyes or the leader rolling their eyes, you know there's something there. And if you can capture that, I see you have an opinion. What's on your mind? Never shame, never blame, never say you rolled your eyes. What?
Right.
They often have an opinion. So the eye rolling canary says, this is stupid. So it's unspoken criticism. They're annoyed by something. So as a consultant, they're my secret sauce.
Do you think that in many cases, Dr. Red Shoe, these eye rolling canaries
yeah.
feel maybe insecure, or maybe they're not happy with the infrastructure of where they work?
I think
they know it all.
I think they're unhappy with something, whether it's infrastructure or not. And it's hard to run meetings. I teach people how to run meetings all the time. And many people don't come prepared to a meeting, so waste of time. And so eyes should be rolling. We should not waste the human resource of time. And if you can end a meeting early, one should. Heinlein said, the motion to adjourn is always in order. And I agree with Heinlein, one of my favorite authors. So if you put a canary to work, I see you have an opinion, ma'am, or sir, or whatever, and they tell you that, they often have a keen understanding of what's going on. And they can be great allies in changing things. I love me a really good eye-rolling canary.
Excellent.
And then,
before we continue, Dr. Red Shoe, you want to give out your website address?
Sure, it's drredshoe.com. It's drredshoe, just one shoe.com.
There it goes.
You go there, and you hit /register. I have programs for you that will teach you some of these things. All right.
Okay, so I want to encourage all our viewers that are watching, go to drredshoe.com. All the businesses that are out there, even in your family, just get out there and look at drredshoe.com. She can help you. Okay, so what's the next one, Dr. Red Shoe? Talk to us.
The next one was created by the Florida Army Guard and the South Dakota Air and Army Guard.
Okay.
It's the laughing hyena. So I had created these other ones and was missing one, and they helped me create that. It's the Joker. they come in and they're funny, and their motto is, now this is funny. And they hijack.
So they're always telling jokes, Dr. Red Shoe, like maybe
It could be
before
jokes,
meetings.
it could just be being funny. They're disruptive. But they're often on point, or sometimes not. And you can ask them to do a joke before or after, and they can really help with motivation.
Good.
So the key to any difficult avatar communication style is honor where they are and help bring out the best in them to make meetings and each person, because at work it's our job to help develop everyone professionally and personally, you know?
Sure.
And so I think we help bring out the best in people.
Love
And
it.
then the last but not least of the avatars for disruptive communication is the worst one. The pink fluffy biting bunny. This one.
Oh, I see the fangs. I see the fangs, Dr. Red Shoe.
They have a little shirt with the vampire and the fangs and the peace sign, but it's backwards. The funny part is when one of the Florida guard guys, he was like 6 foot, 1,000. I mean, he was so tall, and he was big and strong, and he was so smart and so sensitive. And he got the assignment of being the bunny. He was the best bunny I've ever seen. He captured the idea that a bunny, their main thing is, I can help you fail. They're the saboteurs of life. We've all
Wait a minute. Let our viewers absorb what you just said.
All right.
Viewers, she just said
they're the saboteurs.
The pink fluffy bunny says his motto, I can help you fail. How many viewers out there?
What?
How many viewers out there do you think, Dr. Red Shoe, okay, have experienced a pink fluffy biting bunny? You would say all of them, right? I would agree with you.
And they're the ones that they're sweet looking and they look helpful, but they're not. And in movie plots, it's the one the audience goes, boo. I mean, it's somebody who looks like they're being helpful, but their agenda is to cause trouble. They're the troublemakers. They're the ones that say, this one said this about you, or that one said that. And it's very difficult.
Do they try to create confusion?
They do. And they want to end up not looking guilty, but they just cause trouble. And there are a lot of reasons for doing it. But the main problem with the pink fluffy biting bunny is that we do not document. So the only solution with a pink fluffy biting bunny, point it out. If you're the supervisor, make sure you're not alone too much with them, because they do their work in the dark. If you email, always email someone else with them. 3-way, 4-way communication is better with bunnies. Don't be alone. And the main thing is document all of these things.
Dr. Red Shoe.
Yes?
Do you think, because as I hear you speak, you trigger some thoughts in my brain that I'm sure that our viewers would like me to touch.
I like your thoughts. Go for it.
Do you think that some of these red biting bunnies talk behind you in the sense that they try to undermine your professionalism, if you will, try to undermine your credibility, if you will? So it's best not to give, this biting ugly bunny. I'm going to call him ugly bunny. You call him fluffy pink bunny, but I'm going to call him ugly bunny. Not to give them assignments where he has or she has to go work with anybody else in the team, because they're going to turn that entire team against you. Tell us, talk to us.
It's okay to have them an assignment, but think of the number 3. Don't have them be alone, because they work in private. And I think that the only solution, some of them can be re-educated with a good supervisor. A good supervisor is gold. And it's hard to be a good supervisor.
But if you have a supervisor that's not so good and that buys into the pink fluffy bunny,
then document for the supervisor. Anyone who sees the pink fluffy biting bunny, document it. Because maybe the only solution is to invite them to work in another company. Now, there's always, as my father used to say, for stale bread, there is rancid butter. So there are places where I'm sure pink fluffy biting bunnies would thrive in maybe a gossip column or whatever. And some gossip columnists maybe are wonderful. I'm not trying to malign them, but find where they will thrive. Excellent. And communication is not direct with them, and it's underhanded. So you have to be careful. They cannot be the face or the voice of your organization. You have to be very careful.
Gotcha.
And I think that if you mess up with a pink fluffy biting bunny, you could be the one fired or disgraced rather than the bunny. So document, document, document.
Very
And don't
conniving.
Huh?
They're very conniving, and I'm sure that a lot of viewers know a lot of those biting bunnies.
Well, and if you're in a relationship with a fluffy bunny, they make you feel stupid or they make you feel wrong. And you keep doubting yourself. If you feel something, you feel something. Our feelings are our feelings. If you feel someone does not respect you, you don't need proof. It's not a court of law.
Exactly.
You just know that it makes you feel bad. That's enough. You don't need proof. Get out.
I agree with you.
Maybe speaking to the person and say, when you do this, I feel bad. Please don't do that. If they keep doing it, maybe they're not capable of doing differently. Maybe they are. I mean, everyone has to decide. That's where a good therapist or a good lawyer comes into place. You have sponsors, you're a therapist and your lawyer, go see them.
Absolutely. Dr.
Right.
Redshoe.
Yes, ma'am.
Clinical psychologist, misbehavior expert. Everybody seeks you. Civility. How important is civility during this climate that we're living here right now? Talk to us.
Civility is the solution to any human problem in terms of relationships. It helps smooth things over. It also means that we have the self-discipline. As my father once said to me, Mijita, that's the time to look at the fuzz on your knee. Meaning, don't say that right now. Take a moment, think of what you need to say. What is the desired outcome here? What good would come from saying this thing? If we take a notice, we're all incredibly important. And every word we say matters.
Absolutely.
So we have to take a moment and think, what impact am I making on the world? When I enter a room, do people go, oh, she's here? Or do you give them a tummy ache and have to run to the bathroom?
I've seen both scenarios.
What impact do you want to make on the world? And I think you can start now. And maybe one of the best places is to start with an apology. Is this a good time to talk about apologies, or did you have something else in mind?
No, I think it's great. I mean, obviously, I think that we can get more, and I agree with you, Dr. Redshoe, and I think a lot of our viewers will agree with me also, or us, that we can get more through kindness, more through showing compassion, more through showing empathy, why you're acting this way. I think that's very, very, very important. Now, you wanted to touch upon apologies. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
And it's not just important for the sake of important. It's also profitable.
Yes.
If we're civil, it's profitable. Now, there are certain organizations and bad guys in movies or whatever, and in real life that make a lot of money by not being civil. But for the most part, our reputation comes with how we handle interesting and complicated conversations and situations and people, right? So let's talk about an apology. We all mess up.
Okay.
So on the count of 3, everyone's going to say, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3. I'm
sorry.
All right. That's not enough now, is it? So when I was little, my twin sister and my mother would make us go back to back. And on a count of 3, I'm sorry. And if we weren't sincere, she'd make us put our forehead to each other until we started giggling. And then we could make a real apology. So let's talk about an apology. The first is to stop the behavior, whatever it is. Maybe I'm being mean on Facebook. Maybe I'm not using Facebook for the greater good. I mean, Facebook could be a tool for peace. It's a wonderful thing. Let's use it for joy and happiness and affirmation, generosity and gratitude, not for tearing people down and saying yucky things that should not be repeated. And I won't repeat them here. Then the second, third, fourth, and fifth are Maimonides was a rabbi in the 12th century. As a philosopher.
My sister Fanny Elias loves Maimonides.
I learned about him, and I've been doing this ethics podcast on Tuesdays at 12:30. I call it The Rabbi and the Shrink. And I have a rabbi, now we're becoming friends, but I liked his mind, Rabbi Yonason Goldson. Amazing, brilliant mind and a gentle soul. And he and I were talking, and he reminded me of Maimonides. And so I looked him up, and there are 4 steps to Maimonides' apology. So first, stop the thing that you're doing. And then and it's kind of like Sera. C, confess and ask for forgiveness. E, express a sincere remorse. with true empathy, that you show that you get it, not that sorry, that, or my bad.
Like, if you don't mean it, you have to mean it. You have
to mean it. And as an adult, you're expected to mean it. Kids, we can't expect them to mean it at first. They just have to go through the steps till they develop morally and can actually mean it. It takes time to develop empathy. If we shame a child too much, they're not going to develop empathy. They're going to develop a trick to get out of the apology really quickly so they don't feel pain of an apology. An apology takes reflection. And then right the wrong. Find a way to make an effort. Some wrongs can't be really righted. So do the best you can from the person's point of view. You might even ask them, how can I make it up to you? And then last, act differently. So start acting differently now. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, like in an abusive relationship, you're not really sorry.
That's another show. We'll do another show.
All right, you're not really sorry. So essera. The S is stop the behavior. C, confess and ask for forgiveness. And when you confess, you have to say the full thing you did and acknowledge, if you can, the impact on the person without explanation, blaming, or excuses. If there's an excuse, I think it's just one of these fake apologies. It's another excuse to beat someone up. That doesn't count. That's not an apology. That's a 1-2 punch.
And not only that, Dr. Retchu, I do feel that if you're not authentic, people are going to notice that.
Yes.
With me, you see how I am. I'm very out there. I'm an extrovert. Because I know that I'm an introvert, I try to be an extrovert. But what you see is what you get. I'm honest. I'm authentic. I love it. Unfortunately, Dr. Retchu, we're running out of time. I want to thank you. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Michigan to teach us how to deal with difficult people. Because like I said earlier, all our viewers have dealt with difficult people. You have, I have, so on and so forth. My friends, we have to definitely get along with one another, have empathy, compassion. We cannot be, violent with one another, because violence can never lead to nonviolence. Only nonviolence can lead to nonviolence. Keep up the great work, Dr. Retchu. Is there any message that you would like to leave all our viewers with tonight?
Yes, it's time to step up. As individuals and as citizens, my shoe is stepping up. I think America can do better. Let's be more civil. Let's be kinder. Let's be more productive. And let's be the bottom line for the solutions and stop the blame. America, we can do it.
We can do it. And we're going to do it together. Thank you, Dr. Retchu.
Thank you.
We'll call all the way from Michigan. God bless you. We'll invite you back. And to all of you, thank you so much for tuning in into On Point with Rachel Turgerman. So glad to have you here with us today. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, On Point with Rachel Turgerman, and share this lovely interview with your family and with your friends. Remember that staying connected and being informed allows all of us to make the right decisions. God bless you all. Stay healthy and safe. Bye-bye for now. No, you're good.